Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. I found a movie, and it was totally like unplanned that I would find this. It was just there, and I found it, and you can tell, like, I guess this is how I have to go about this stuff, is just by intuition. Because I guess, I don't know. I found this movie called Alice, and, Sharon Year has been paused briefly, which it was really funny because with her filmography, I noticed that, like, every month that I watched a bad movie of hers was gonna be a bad month. So I noticed that June was gonna be Valley of the Dolls, and I got really scared because I was like, that movie probably isn't gonna be very good. It doesn't look very good. It looks kind of like, I don't know, like just something that I don't really care about watching. Uh, and it's funny because then it turned out to be bad, and then and then of course July I was gonna review and analyze the Rosemary's Baby script, and of course I did not care for that movie. So anyways, I came upon this movie, and just keep in mind too, I'm still sick, so if I pause or if anything, it's because I'm sick and it's still like bothering me. So I would have Safi do this, but she would be like, I don't know what to do here. I might have her do my Leave It to Beaver season 2 review though. This movie, it's my first full length Woody Allen movie, which is that's another Hollywood weirdo, another Hollywood person who has done some bad stuff. And you can tell by this movie. I mean, I watched a little bit of his other movie, and you could tell by that one too. But this one was really weird. I mean, I could do a full-on deep dive into why, but it's not really important because it's like, if I did, I would look like Ben Shapiro looked like when he analyzed Barbie. That's what I would look like, and I don't want to look like that because it's a bad look. This is about Mia Farrow, and she plays this housewife who's really upset deep down that she doesn't have anything that she can do, like, except shop and gossip. And her husband, he's just kind of one of those boring husbands. And at the same time, she's having back pain, and she really wants to have an affair with this guy or get to know him better for some reason. So she goes to this Dr. Yang, and we will be analyzing this movie, okay? Like, there's stuff to analyze here that is, it's pretty creepy, to say the least. But she goes to this Dr. Yang. He's an acupuncturist, but he literally never does any acupuncturing the whole movie. It's very bizarre. It's like he's an undercover agent or something, and that's just like his cover is he's an acupuncturist. And he basically hypnotizes her, and then he finds out why she's upset, and then he gives her these herbs, and the whole movie is just him giving her different types of herbs to help her with her problems. And all sorts of weird things happen, all sorts of funny misadventures happen, I guess, if you could call that funny. Really kind of weak sauce for me. And it just kind of like is there. Like, this is like a movie that would be comforting to watch around Christmas time because it's a very light movie. But right now, in the middle of the summer, or at the end of the summer, I guess, the shitty summer, this is like just like a weak movie, like a movie that it's like, what if you got fettuccine and then there's no Alfredo? Would you like to eat that? No. That's this movie in a nutshell. Like, I could get into specifics. I could talk about, probably for me the best part of the movie is Alec Baldwin. He plays the ghost of her first ever boyfriend who died at a young age, and I felt like he was really good, and I wish that he was in the whole movie because he was the best fucking part. And but the worst part, and in general, this movie could have been really, really good, but instead it was very, very blah, and it played it safe, and it was just not as good as it could have been because it did not really take chances. There was one really good twist near the end that I thought was like, ooh, that kind of hit me. But other than that, I felt like this was like just, it's just there. It's just like, why do you make these movies that are just there? Like, it's like, just wipe this movie off the universe and nobody would care. Except for like one person who thinks it's the best movie ever. Which, I don't want to meet that person at all. Based on this crap. But the worst part for me was the ending. The ending of this movie was atrocious. It was so bad. It's like they had this climax set up where it's like, what's going to happen? What's she going to do? And instead of doing something interesting, they do a joke, and it's a really, really creepy joke because it has a lot to do with the undercurrent of the movie, which is basically just telling people you should probably look into Woody Allen because he's fucking weird. I mean, he's like he's blatantly creepy. He's blatantly in your face about all these weird ideas that he has about humanity and all of these creepy things that he likes to watch and participate in, probably. But the ending, it completely cuts off. And it just feels like the shittiest, like, if you laid out all the options, like Doctor Strange and Infinity War, all the options, the movie, the way it could have ended, this was the worst one they could have picked. It was just completely, like, why even bother watching this movie? Like, I kind of regret watching it for the most part, because the movie, I would give it like a, it was like okay, and then you get to that ending, and it's like, this is the moment that mattered. This is the moment where everything should have come together, and where Mia Farrow should have finally been an interesting character, because she was very boring. Her character, the arc that she goes through is basically just, I don't know, like, it's bizarre. It's really weird. It's very, very, it's one of those movies like with Eye of the Devil, which, of course, Eye of the Devil was a good movie. It's one of those movies where you can tell that it was not a movie that was made. It was a spell. Yeah, I mean, this movie especially. I mean, this is like, this is one of those movies where I don't know why people don't talk about it. Like, they talk all about The Witch and, like, fucking with the eyes wide shut. They're like, ooh, you should look into these movies. Like, even though we've already talked about them 1,000 times. And it's like, what about Alice? What about Mia Farrow and Alice? Now, let's talk about all the weirdness in this movie, and then I'll go, because these reviews are kind of gonna suck until I'm fully better. And, I will talk all about why I was sick as well, because there's a lot more to it, as it turned out. I'll just tell you guys that I basically got an exorcism. It wasn't a real exorcism, it was an energy healing thing, but it did the same thing as an exorcism would have done, so... And my voice sounds weird because after those energy sessions, you burp a lot, and so I've been burping like nonstop for the past couple of days. And I'm going to have another energy session on Monday. So Mia Farrow in this movie, I really feel bad for her, because I like her as an actress, but the movie she's in, she's basically typecast. Is like the wimpy woman, and I wish she wasn't. But in this movie, right off the bat, her character is named Alice Tate. Okay, so she is Mrs. Tate. That is really, really bad. I mean, that's just them blatantly telling you that she was supposed to be Sharon in Rosemary's Baby. And of course, if you guys didn't know, Roman Polanski, he wanted Sharon to play Rosemary in Rosemary's Baby. He wanted her to play her. And it's very weird that they did this, that Woody Allen, all of a sudden, 1990 whatever, he makes this movie where Mia Farrow is Alice Tate. And what's even weirder is that on IMDb, they hide the fact that she is Alice Tate. They just call her Alice. I think that's weird too, because, she's called Mrs. Tate like a million times in the movie. So it's not like that's like an obscure fact. That's very well known. If you watch it, of course, which I would recommend not doing. And then a big part of Alice's character is that she's a Catholic. And of course, Sharon was a Catholic until, she was initiated into the Hollywood Satanism circle. But, she was Catholic, and I felt like that was another thing that they added to make her like Sharon. And there is a witch curtain near the beginning for some reason. Like, this movie does not take place around Halloween, but they're at this place multiple times in the movie, and there's this witch curtain, and it's very, very distinct, because there's no other time in the movie where you see decorations like this that stick out, and they do close-ups of it. It's very weird. So the first herb that she's given by this fake acupuncturist, the MK Ultra guy, he gives her this herb that basically turns her into a sex slave. Like, she takes it, and immediately she goes up to this guy, and she starts flirting with him and pushing herself on him. And afterwards she says, "I feel like I was possessed." And so it's right there. I mean, it is right there. She is like an MK Ultra sex slave in this movie. And the hypnotism thing as well. I mean, she's like, I'm one of those people who can't be hypnotized, and then boom. And then she gets an herb that makes her turn invisible. Then she gets an herb that makes her talk to ghosts. And then for some reason, she's able to fly out of nowhere. Another thing, a lot of this movie is like, them sexualizing this like shy wife character. So the guy that she used to date, the ghost guy, he sold a nude painting of her, and she gets really embarrassed about it. And then the guy who she's interested in, he's a jazz musician, and if you guys didn't know this, Jay Sebring, his favorite music was jazz. And not only that, they cement this into the movie that there are deeper meanings, weird stuff going on, because Alice's husband, he mentions that Jay is in Boston, so he can't play backgammon with him. So that, they mention that he has a friend named Jay. So very, very weird stuff going on in this movie. There's also a creepy joke sequence near the end. Alice gets this love herb, and her maid puts it in the eggnog at this party, and every man starts trying to get with her, and it's very, very reminiscent of the ending of Rosemary's Baby, where, she's in the apartment surrounded by the cult, and she can't escape. And in general, I might talk about specifics too about this movie at the end of the year too, like when I rank all the movies. But I don't feel like it's worth it right now, honestly. But the last thing I'll say is that there is a lot of double talk in this movie that made me really question the morals of this filmmaker, because this whole movie is basically about like everyone and everything pushing her to have this affair and pushing her to be unfaithful and pushing her into this position. And then at the same time, like it's about like the herbs helping her. But then at the end, she doesn't use the final herb for the purpose that she needed to use it for. Instead, she throws it away, and she runs off to India to meet Mother Teresa and do volunteer work. And so, it's like that completely undermines the message that, like, the herbs helped her through this journey or something. It's like, but wait a second. You threw that last herb away. So then the message at the end, it's like he's trying to say that the herbs were no good for her. But it's like, wait a second. The herbs are what got her to this point at the end, where she could stand up to her husband, which it turns out he was having affairs too. And, whatever. And so the herbs led her to this point, but then she doesn't use the final one. That doesn't make sense, man. I mean, it just... So anyways, please like this video. It was very unexpected. I wasn't even planning... Ow! The fuck is that? Just bit me in the leg. I wasn't even planning on reviewing this movie, actually. But as soon as I heard that Mia Farrow is playing a character named Alice Tate, then I was... And of course you have the Alice in Wonderland MK Ultra symbolism, and I feel like there's also something going on with her hat. This whole movie, she has a red hat on most of the time, and then at the end she doesn't. I don't know what the hat symbolizes. A lot of the times with this with these creepy symbolisms, you find stuff like red shoes and red slippers like in Wizard of Oz. This was a red hat. And I would also like to say, too, that this was the last movie of the guy who played the Asian guy in Gremlins. The guy who actually sells the mogwai to the main characters. He is that guy, and he died after making this movie, which just really sucks. And his character too, at the end of the movie, he leaves the story and he goes to Tibet to learn about other cures. There's a lot going on underneath this movie. Like, there's so much. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, if anything, this video is just a call to action for people to do a deep dive into the story and really, analyze what is going on underneath the surface, because it's clearly there. I mean, you can tell this is not a movie. This is another one of those ones where you can tell it is not a movie. And as for Woody Allen, I know that a lot of people have said he's not guilty, and, they've defended him. Usually I would defend people, like, I defended Andy Signore, even though he turned out to be kind of a dipshit, egotistical, faggot-faced fuck. But, I will say, like, based on this movie, I don't care. Woody Allen is guilty as hell. like just this movie alone, like, I don't need to see anything else. With with other people, it's like you can kind of go like, are they guilty? Aren't they guilty? With Woody Allen, based on this movie, I would say, like, yeah, he's probably guilty of everything that they said he did. Like, everything that anyone said that he did. Like, this guy's a fucking weirdo. And God, he's weird. He's like those male feminists who pretend to be feminists so that they can sleep with women who are dumb feminists. Just the way that he writes, like, his writing is just so bitch-made, beta male shit. Like, just, ugh. So anyways, please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. And, and the guy who played Dr. Yang, he was a really good actor too. Like, he did a great job in this movie too. It's just that he never really explained much to her. He basically just played the magician guy or the magical guy, but, he's basically an MK Ultra operative, agent, whatever. I don't know all these words. So anyways, goodbye everybody. See you soon for probably Dark Winds Season 2, Episode 2.